It started with a sound. Not a loud one, but a sound that didn't belong in the dead of a Tuesday night. A kind of metallic scraping against the wood of my back door, followed by a low, splintering pop. My heart didn't just start beating faster, it felt like it dropped into my stomach and then tried to claw its way back up my throat. I was frozen in bed for maybe 3 seconds, listening to the kind of silence that's louder than any noise. The silence that means someone is inside and they're trying not to be heard. I didn't grab my phone. I didn't even think to. All I could think was hide. I slid out of bed, my bare feet cold on the hardwood floor, and crept across my bedroom to the closet. Every creak of the floorboards was a gunshot in my head. I slipped inside, pulling the heavy oak door almost completely shut, leaving just a sliver to see through. The air smelled like old sweaters and cedar. I crouched down, my knees screaming, and held my breath until my lungs burned. Then I saw him. A dark shape in the doorway of my bedroom, a silhouette against the faint moonlight from the hall. He had a flashlight, one of those tactical ones with a beam so sharp and white it looked like a blade cutting through the dark. The beam swept across the room, over my unmade bed, my dresser, the stack of books on my nightstand. My whole life felt so fragile, so exposed under that cold, probing light. I swear I could feel its heat even from inside the closet. He took a step into the room and the beam dipped down. It landed on the small throw rug by the door and it stopped. My blood went arctic. I knew what he was looking at. Before bed, I'd gone to the kitchen for water and I must have stepped in a little puddle by the sink. I'd left a single damp footprint on the rug, a perfect clear sign that someone was home, that I was here. The silence stretched on, thick and suffocating. This is it, I thought, he knows. The flashlight beam stayed fixed on the footprint. The man didn't move. Then he let out a long, shuddering breath. It wasn't the sound of a predator, it was a sound of exhaustion. Of something close to despair. His voice, when it finally came, wasn't a whisper or a threat. It was cracked and hoarse, and it sliced right through my fear, replacing it with a confusion so profound it made me dizzy. "Tessa," he said into the darkness, "it's me. Okay, look, I know what you're thinking. A man breaks into your house, says your name, and suddenly he's not a threat. It sounds insane. But you have to understand who Reese is. Or who he was to me. Reese is my ex. More importantly, he's Elodie's father. And Elodie is our 7-year-old daughter. She's this tiny, brilliant spark of a person who loves drawing dragons and knows more about dinosaurs than any adult I know. She is, without any exaggeration, the only thing in the universe that matters. And she has asthma, not the mild, puffin inhaler before soccer kind, the bad kind. The kind that steals the air from her lungs and turns her lips a terrifying shade of blue. The kind that has landed us in the emergency room 3 times in the last year. For the first 5 years of her life, Reese was on the same page as me. We were a team. Doctors, specialists, action plans, we did it all, but then he changed. After we split up, he went down some internet rabbit hole. It started with organic food, which fine. Then it was essential oils. Then it was crystals and energy healing, and some guru on YouTube who claims that modern medicine is a conspiracy. Reese, the same man who once held my hand while a doctor explained steroid treatments, started calling Elodie's doctors poison pushers. The breaking point was the nebulizer. It's a machine, a medical device that turns her albuterol into a fine mist she can breathe in during an attack. It's her lifeline, and Reese started refusing to use it. He claimed it was a chemical crutch that was weakening her natural energy field. He wanted to try guided meditation and holistic breathing exercises. Can you imagine? Can you actually imagine your child gasping for air, her little chest caving in, and her father wants to hold a rose quartz over her heart and tell her to visualize a calming river? We fought, God did we fight, screaming matches over the phone that left me shaking. I begged him, I reasoned with him, I sent him articles from medical journals. Nothing worked. He was convinced he was right, that he was protecting her from me and my brainwashing. So I did something. I know it sounds extreme, but he left me no choice. I made an appointment for Elodie with the best pediatric pulmonologist in the state, a Dr. Albright. I was going to get a definitive, expert opinion that Reese couldn't possibly ignore. But for the appointment to work, I needed 2 things. Elodie's complete medical history, which he kept at his house, and the nebulizer itself, so the doctor could see the exact model and dosage we were supposed to be using. Yesterday, when I dropped Elodie off at his place, he wasn't home from work yet. His spare key was still in that stupid magnetic rock by the porch. My heart was pounding, but I told myself it was for Elodie. I went inside, grabbed her binder of medical records from his office, and I took the nebulizer from her bedside table. I didn't steal it, I borrowed it. I was going to bring it back right after the appointment on Wednesday. I was going to have a doctor's orders in my hand, and I was going to fix this. I was going to save my daughter's life, that's what I was doing. So when he showed up at my back door in the middle of the night, crowbar in hand, it wasn't a random attack. He was looking for his daughter's medicine, the medicine I had taken. Crouching in the dark, my own selfish fear evaporated, replaced by the chilling sound of his voice. It was the plea of a father in crisis. He wasn't there to hurt me, he was there because he was desperate. Tessa, please, he called out again, his voice cracking on my name. He still hadn't moved from the doorway, as if he knew coming any closer would be crossing a line. The flashlight beam trembled in his hand, casting dancing shadows on the walls. Just give it back, Elodie's having an attack, a bad one. I can't find you, you're not answering your phone. Please, Tess, she needs the machine. Every word was a physical blow. In my head, I had played out 100 different scenarios for our next confrontation. Me, calm and righteous, armed with a doctor's report. Him finally seeing reason, admitting he was wrong. Nowhere in my self-serving fantasies did the scene involve him breaking into my house while our daughter was suffocating. My mind raced, trying to find a way I could still be the hero of this story. He's lying, a nasty little voice in my head whispered. He's just saying that to get it back. It's a trick, but I knew Reese. I knew the sound of his voice when he was truly terrified, and this was it. This was the sound I'd heard in the ER waiting room, the sound he made when Elodie's oxygen levels dropped too low. I called 911, he said, his voice dropping to a near sob. They're on their way, but the ambulance, it's 10 minutes out, maybe more. The dispatcher said to use the nebulizer now. Tessa, for the love of God, where is it? My body felt like it was encased in concrete. The righteousness that had fueled me for the past 24 hours had curdled into a thick, nauseating sludge of guilt. I had been so wrapped up in being right, in winning, that I never stopped to consider the immediate, horrifying consequences of my actions. I had taken our child's emergency medical equipment hostage to prove a point. From the closet, I could see the faint glow of his phone screen as he checked it, his hand shaking violently. He wasn't a monster trying to get in. He was a father trying to save his child, and I was the one standing in his way. With a sob that I couldn't hold back, I pushed the closet door open. The sudden movement made him jump, and the flashlight beam swung wildly, blinding me for a second. I didn't stand up. I couldn't. I stayed on my knees, a pathetic heap on the floor, and pushed the gray plastic machine out from behind a pile of shoes. The little box of albuterol vials was tucked into its side compartment. It's here, I choked out. Reese stumbled forward and snatched it off the floor. His face was a mess, streaked with tears, pale with panic. He didn't even look at me. He didn't scream at me, didn't call me a name. He didn't seem to see me at all. His entire world was just that machine in his hands. He turned without another word and sprinted out of the room, leaving the back door wide open behind him. I just knelt there in the dark, listening to the sound of his car peeling out of the driveway, a sound that felt like the end of the world. Edit, wow, okay. This blew up way more than I expected. A lot of you are asking the same questions, so I'll just answer them here. Why didn't I just call the police on him for his medical neglect? Why didn't I file for an emergency custody order? Why did I have to resort to stealing the machine? You don't get it, you just don't. I tried talking. For months I tried. I sent him emails with links to studies. I printed out pamphlets from the American Lung Association. I even got my mom, who he actually likes, to talk to him. Every single time it was like talking to a brick wall. He'd say things like, "You trust these pharmaceutical companies more than you trust my intuition as a father." He called me a sheep for believing in science. As for the legal stuff, I looked into it. I talked to a lawyer. She told me that unless I could prove imminent danger, a judge would likely just order us into mediation. Mediation. Like we could solve this by sitting in a room with a stranger and talking about our feelings. His alternative beliefs, as the lawyer called them, weren't illegal. They were just stupid. Dangerously stupid. To get a court to act, I'd have to wait for something terrible to happen to Elodie, and then maybe a judge would listen. I wasn't going to wait, I couldn't. Taking the nebulizer was my way of creating the imminent danger myself, but in a controlled way, by forcing him to bring her to a real doctor. It was the only card I had left to play. I was trying to save her, don't you see? After Reese left, the adrenaline drained out of me, leaving a hollow, buzzing void. The back door was still ajar, letting in the cold, pre-dawn air that smelled of damp earth and coming rain. I didn't get up to close it. I think a part of me wanted the cold to be real, to match the ice forming in my veins. I just sat on the floor of my bedroom, the closet door still hanging open like a gaping mouth, and watched the gray light of dawn seep into the room, turning the shadows from black to a murky, bruised purple. My phone became a talisman, a torture device. I clutched it in my sweaty hand, my thumb hovering over Reese's contact photo, a picture of him and Elodie at the zoo last summer, her tiny face smeared with chocolate ice cream, his arm wrapped protectively around her. I expected a call, an explosion of rage, a text message filled with curses that would peel the paint off the walls, something, anything to fill the terrifying silence, but my phone remained dark. The silence was worse than any screaming match. It was a thick, heavy blanket of dread that suffocated me with every passing minute. Around 8 a.m., the silence became unbearable. I couldn't take it anymore. My fingers, clumsy and trembling, tapped out his name. When I finally pressed call, the silence of the unanswered rings felt like an accusation. Then the cheerful, recorded voice of his voicemail system cut in, "Hi, you've reached Reese," and I hung up before the beep, a fresh wave of nausea washing over me. I tried again. Straight to voicemail, I sent a text, my fingers fumbling on the screen, "Is she okay?" Then I deleted it. Too demanding, I typed again, "Reese, please just tell me she's okay." I stared at the message, at the little blue bubble sitting there under his name. The three dots that indicate someone is typing never appeared. An hour later, my phone finally rang. My heart leaped with a desperate, stupid hope, a jolt of electricity through my exhausted body. But the name on the screen wasn't Reese, it was Brenda. And the hope died instantly, replaced by a certainty so absolute it felt like a physical blow to my chest. Brenda was our emergency contact, the one we both trusted, the one we called when things were too broken between us to fix on our own. I answered, my own voice a stranger in my ears. "Brenda." Tessa, her voice was a wreck. It was thick and watery, stretched thin over a foundation of pure panic. I could hear the tears she was fighting back with every word. "Oh, Tess." "Brenda, what's going on?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. "Have you heard from Reese? Is Elodie all right?" A choked sob came from the other end of the line. That was the only answer I needed, but the words came anyway. "They're at University Hospital," Brenda managed to say between sobs. "A hospital, okay, I could deal with a hospital. We'd been there before, it was our routine." "What happened?" I asked, clinging to the last sliver of denial. "Elodie, she had a massive attack last night." Brenda's composure finally broke, and the story came tumbling out in a torrent of grief. "Reese was hysterical when he called me. He said he couldn't find the nebulizer. He tore his whole house apart looking for it. He called 911, but by the time they got there, she took a ragged breath. There was a delay, Tess, a bad one. He told them you had it, that he was trying to get it from you." The word delay hung in the air between us. My delay, the delay I had manufactured. "They've got her in the ICU," Brenda continued, her voice dropping to a horrified whisper. "She's on a ventilator, but the doctors, they said her brain was deprived of oxygen for too long." The phone slipped from my hand and clattered onto the hardwood floor. Brenda's voice kept coming out of the tiny speaker, a distant, tinny sound of someone else's grief. I couldn't hear it. All I could hear was the scraping sound of a crowbar at my back door. The sound of a desperate father. The sound of my own catastrophic, world-ending pride. I had been so sure I was right. I had built a fortress of righteousness around myself, so certain of my own good intentions. From inside its walls, I had passed a death sentence on my own child, the one person in the universe I was supposed to protect. I had won the argument, and the cost was everything. Final update, Elodie's gone. She passed away an hour ago. They took her off the ventilator and she just stopped. There was no dramatic movie scene, no final words. Just the quiet, relentless beep of a machine falling silent. Brenda was with me when I got the news. She didn't have to say anything. She just held my hand while my world dissolved into a smear of gray. Reese sent me a text message. It was the first and only time I've heard from him since he ran out of my house with the nebulizer. I saw his name pop up on my screen, and for a wild, insane second, I thought maybe it was a mistake. Maybe there was a miracle. Then I read the message, 3 words, that's all it said. "You won, Tessa." The words didn't even make me angry, they just landed. A flat, dead weight in the pit of my stomach. Because he's right, isn't he? I won the argument. I proved that his holistic nonsense was dangerous. I proved that she needed real medicine. I won, and my prize is a lifetime of this hollow, aching silence where my daughter's laughter used to be. I didn't win. I don't think I'll ever feel like I've won anything again. I just keep replaying it all in my head, an endless, torturous loop. Me sneaking into his house, feeling so clever and justified. Me hiding that stupid gray plastic box in my closet behind a box of old winter boots, like a dragon hoarding some precious, righteous treasure. I was so sure I was doing the right thing, the only thing a good mother could do. I was going to save her. That was the story I told myself, the one that let me sleep at night. Now the story is different. Now the story is that I held my daughter's life in my hands and I traded it for the chance to be right. I was so focused on the hypothetical future danger of his beliefs that I created a real, immediate, fatal one. So, to answer the question I asked when I first wrote this post, the one I was so desperate for you all to answer for me, am I the monster? I know the answer now. There's no more room for excuses or justifications. When your child is gasping for air, it doesn't matter who is right or wrong about energy fields or chemical crutches. All that matters is that breath, and I'm the one who took it away. Yes, I'm the monster here, and I have to live with that.